How's it going, everybody? I'm Grant Fluff from Flutzer Sports Zone, and welcome to the official 2026 Stanley Cup playoff predictions video. I did a video very similar to this when the NFL postseason came along in January, and close but no cigar. I think my Super Bowl prediction was Broncos-Rams, and well, both teams made the championship round. That was not ultimately the Super Bowl. So we're going to try again with the other sport I pretty much watch every week. That is the National Hockey League. And we are going to begin with the Colorado Avalanche against the LA Kings. It feels wrong, picking against the LA Kings here because this is Anze Kopitar's last ride, right? The second the Kings get eliminated, Anze Kopitar will have officially retired from the National Hockey League. And it's interesting, right? The Kings are a weird team. I did end up going to a Kings game this year when they beat up on the Rangers. That was funny enough before the Kings got Panarin, and then the Kings got Panarin from the Rangers a couple weeks later. Anyways, this Kings team is weird because the offense is great, right? You have Adrian Kempe, Quinton Byfield, solid defense with Mikey Anderson and Brendan Clark on the blue line, and Drew Doughty's still there. So they have a decent team. I'm not fully convinced Darcy Kuemper is the best goalie in the world. I know Kuemper was the goalie the last time Colorado won the Stanley Cup in 2022, but that felt like Colorado's offense was so good. Kuemper really had to have an off night for them to lose any series that year. He's definitely regressed this year. Colorado, President's Trophy winning team, and as they should be. Nathan MacKinnon is probably the best forward on the planet right now. I know you could argue McDavid, Draisaitl, even Macklin Celebrini getting up there in terms of hype and reaching full potential, but MacKinnon, he scored, 52, 53 goals this year. Really good forward. And Colorado, they're just a great team, you know. They have guys like Marty Nashis, Gabriel Landeskog still doing pretty well. I just think you have to go with Colorado here. Yeah, Colorado is a great team. They are going to be a problem in these Western Conference playoffs, so we're going to go right ahead and pick the Avalanche. The Kings, just don't bring a game into overtime because you're probably going to lose it. I think the Kings set the record this year for most overtime and shootout losses or whatever. So if you're LA, you just want to play the game until the end of regulation. Moving on to the Stars and the Wild. I feel like this is a matchup every year, and every year Dallas gets the best of Minnesota. But at the same time, now Minnesota has guys like Matthew Boldy, who has fully developed. He's probably been fully developed for a year or two at this point, but Matt Boldy is officially that Robin to the Batman that is Kirill Kaprizov. They have a very strong defense. Guys like Brock Faber, another young player that has officially broken out in the scene. They added in Quinn Hughes. Joel Eriksson Ek remains a very solid piece. But you also look at Dallas. They were a little rough for bits and pieces after the Olympic break. But at the end of the day, Jake Ottinger is still their starting goaltender. I trust him over Philip Gustafson 100%. And the Stars' forward core is great. They haven't even had Tyler Seguin this year, and their forward core hasn't missed a beat. How about Maverick Bourque scoring 20 goals this year? I think Sam Steele, he's another one that has 30 points this year. The Stars' depth is finally developing, and as long as they still have guys like Jason Robertson and Mikko Rantanen on their top line, Jamie Benn, he's getting older, but he's still very good. Miro Heiskanen, better in other years, but he's still a really good quality defenseman. So is Issa Lindell. It stinks because I had Minnesota. I want to imagine Minnesota going on a deep playoff run. I just can't do it, man. I have to go Dallas here. It will go 7. I don't know if I mentioned Colorado. Colorado will beat the Kings in 5. I have Dallas beating Minnesota in 7. I also just think Dallas having home ice advantage really helps them out. If Minnesota had home ice advantage, I'd probably pick them winning 7, but this is going to be a really high-scoring series, so I'm definitely going to try to watch Stars and Wild games because that's going to be great. Golden Knights against the Utah Mammoth. So the Coyotes relocate to Utah and then they make the playoffs 2 years later. It was like right when the Coyotes rebuild was over, they relocate, and now they're in the playoffs as Utah. But good for them, right? Guys like Clayton Keller, J.J. Peterka, Dylan Guenther fully developing this year. He became a really good piece of that team. Vegas is the more experienced team, so I'm led to believe that they would win. I think this is also the first year Vegas will have Mitch Marner in the playoffs. Of course, not that he was much of a deciding factor in Toronto. He really wasn't, but maybe now that he's in Vegas, different coaching staff, the shock move of firing Bruce Cassidy late in the season to get John Tortorella, and then they go into the playoffs on this winning streak. I don't know. It's going to be interesting, but they did win the division to my shock. I honestly thought Edmonton was going to steal it late there, but they did not. And yeah, Vegas ends up winning the division. I think this could go 6 games, but I am going to pick Vegas to win just because they are the more experienced team. But I really like Vegas's goaltending is not that strong. Aiden Hill, outside of that 23-24 run, he really hasn't impressed me a lot the past couple of seasons. And we'll see how far I have Vegas going. But I think even with acquiring guys like Mitch Marner and Rasmus Anderson this time around, I still don't know what this team is capable of, but I definitely think they're good enough to make it past the first round of the playoffs. Moving on, we have the Ducks and the Oilers. Here is my first, I don't even know if you would call this an upset, but I'm picking Anaheim, all right? Yes, McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, Maxim Savoy, I think, scored 20 goals this year. There's death scoring. Evan Bouchard is in the Norris conversation. Yes, Anaheim has better goaltending. I would rather take Lucas Dostal over, who is it? Tristan Jarry and Connor Ingram. Terrible goaltending over there in Edmonton. Now, I know Ingram played better as the year went along, and he's definitely going to be the starter as the playoffs roll around. Stuart Skinner, they needed to move on from him, but to trade him straight up for Tristan Jarry was a little weird in my opinion. I trust Edmonton's defense, yes, but Anaheim's offense is really good, and this is such a young team. Leo Carlson finally developing into that borderline point per game player. Even guys like Mason McTavish finally developing and blossoming into a top 6 forward. How about Bennett Sinecki? He finally developed as well. This is either his first or second year in the NHL. The Ducks properly rebuilt. They have a strong team. They even have a great franchise caliber defenseman in Jason Lacombe, who will definitely be on USA's Olympic roster the next time the Olympics roll around. I just think Anaheim, they're due. They are due, and they are due for a playoff series victory. I really believe that. This is a team that, again, went through the proper rebuild, went through the coaching process, and I know Edmonton's won back-to-back Western Conference championships, but I'm just not buying into the Oilers' hype this year. I feel like I haven't the past 3 years, and it's come back to bite me because, Stuart Skinner this, and, he would miraculously play great in the last couple rounds of the playoffs, or, McDavid and Draisaitl would just put the team on their back. I'm going to pick Anaheim to win it in 7, but if the Ducks are a little too inexperienced, I understand why. Moving on to the Eastern Conference, Sabres and Bruins. The Sabres won the Atlantic Division. Isn't that cool, man? For the first time since 2011, the Sabres are in the playoffs. And speaking of which, the last time I was happy as a Bruins fan was also in 2011. Well, maybe not true, but yes. This is my favorite team, the Bruins are, and it just hurts because, I was so looking forward to Buffalo playing Montreal or Tampa, and I was like, yay, I'm going to root for the Sabres round 1. Just kidding, they're playing the Bruins, so now I have to root against the Sabres. Ugh. Anyway, this series is either going one of two ways. Buffalo is winning in 6, or Boston is winning in 7. I am torn apart on what I think will happen. Because Buffalo, the Bruins, listen, they have a very good forward core. Their defense is a little shaky, like with Mason Lohrei, Andrew Peeke. I really think Buffalo will tear apart the bottom half of this Bruins defense. But, I mean, as long as McAvoy and Lindholm are logging in and Zadorov are logging in a lot of minutes a night, then the Bruins defense will probably be fine. Sabres offense is just good, man. They've just been clicking all year, and I really don't see how they're going to slow down. Tage Thompson has emerged into a superstar. Zach Benson, I think this is his second year in the NHL, and he has finally blossomed. And Buffalo is just a very consistent team, and I also think their defense is phenomenal. With Rasmus Dahlin and Owen Power and whatnot, they also bought at the deadline, I think, and got, Luke Schenn and Logan Stanley. So the Sabres are a team that bought at the deadline where the Bruins did absolutely nothing. Now, I guess that was a good thing the Bruins didn't do much because they were able to call up Jamie Higgins and they were able to let guys like Victor Arvidsson and Casey Middlestat develop into their own and find a top 6 role on this team. That's great, but just comes down to who has a more complete roster, and that is Buffalo at the moment. Now, I will say, Jeremy Swayman is a significantly better goalie than Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, and that's not even a conversation. And the reason why I think this series goes 6 or 7 games anyway is because Swayman's going to steal one. Like, the Bruins, their offense, they can score. The Bruins have already beaten Buffalo 3 times this year. I think playoffs is a different animal, though. Swayman is going to steal the Bruins a game or 2. Undoubtedly. He is a good enough goalie to where if he allows a goal or 2 and the Bruins offense can score 3 or more, they'll be fine. Expect guys like Morgan Geekie to really step up in this playoff run for the Bruins. I think because he wasn't on the 2023 team that lost to Florida in the first round. Kind of crazy to think about. But I really expect guys like Geekie and Arvidsson to really step up and take that next step forward. And maybe we see some James Higgins in the first round. I'm not sure, but ultimately, I am going to go the Sabres win in 6. Listen, man, I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong. This is just like when I predicted the Jaguars to lose in my NFL playoff predictions video, man. I want to be wrong. I want to see my favorite team go as far as possible. But I just think luck's on Buffalo's side this year, man. They already broke the playoff curse. They won the division on top of it. This team's going to be unstoppable. Lightning in Montreal. Oh, man. Really sucks that one of these 2 teams are going to be losing in the first round because these 2 teams are deserving. I mean, if you were, say, at the start of the year, Lightning Canadiens would be an Eastern Conference Finals matchup, I'd be like, okay, I'd take it, in terms of the entertainment value. Cole Caulfield finally scored 50 goals. Nick Suzuki, 100 points. Yaroslav Slafkovsky broke out. This is great. And, they still have guys like Lane Hudson and Noah Dobson on defense. Really strong D-core. But Tampa Bay's the experienced team. They're the juggernaut. They fell off a little bit after the Olympic break. They were in first in the division, I believe, in February. And then they ultimately let Buffalo pass them late in the season. Almost let Montreal pass them too. And I think we have another situation of like Stars Wild. Whoever has the home ice advantage, I'm going to give the advantage to. And that's Tampa Bay, so I'm going to pick Lightning in 7. Now, don't get me wrong. I do think Montreal's good enough to win a game or 2 in Tampa. If Montreal won the series, I wouldn't even be that surprised. But the Lightning, they have the experience. Jacob Dubas, good goalie, but I do not trust him over Andrei Vasilevsky. They still have Kucherov, Braden Point. This roster has not changed a whole lot from their cup-winning teams dating back to the early parts of this decade. And they're still around. Victor Hedman, he might be older. He's still producing very well. I know he's been dealing with some injuries or some leave of absence time, but I would expect him to be back eventually during this playoff series. What was it, Darren Radish, I believe? Eric Cernak, a very good D-core in Tampa Bay. I think they get the job done against Les Canadiens. Okay, Hurricanes and Senators. Carolina wins this in 5. There's not much to go into this here. Ottawa's decent, good D-core with Thomas Chabot, Jake Sanderson. I really like their D-core. Forward core is all right. Obviously they have Tim Stützle, Drake Batherson, solid players, but Carolina's just a more experienced team. They have Sebastian Aho, Seth Jarvis, Taylor Hall, Logan Stankoven, a mix of a lot of good young players and a mix of a lot of really good veterans. Brandon Bussey has essentially stolen the starting job from Frederik Andersen, and I don't hate that, man. Like I mentioned, as a Bruins fan, I got to see Brandon Bussey play quite a bit with the Providence Bruins. Really good goalie, and I'm glad he's getting his chance, and I'm also glad he's succeeding with Carolina and not with Florida, because if you remember, when the Bruins let Brandon Bussey walk in free agency, he originally signed with the Panthers organization, and I think once Florida cut him, he went to Carolina. So, at least Brandon Bussey's doing well on Carolina and not Florida, and I think he should be the starter for the playoffs this year for Carolina, and I definitely think he's good enough to beat the Sens. Linus Ullmark is getting a lot of crap right now about his performance. He's not the goalie he was when he was with the Bruins. Definitely not. But he's still a very solid goalie. And I think, NHL media as a whole is putting the blame on him a little too much. He is dealing with some mental health problems or something along the lines of that. So I just hope Ullmark is, all right and is in a, clear state of mind to continue with the playoffs here. But I'm going to go Carolina wins pretty easily. Ottawa will steal a game or two. I don't think this will be a gentleman's sweep, but I do think that Ottawa just doesn't have the offense to keep up with Carolina's. And lastly, last first round series. I know I've already been ranting for 17 minutes and we still got the rest of this video to go. Penguins and Flyers. Pittsburgh. I'll go Pittsburgh in 6. I don't think it's... Philadelphia is good enough to win a couple of games. They brought up, who was it? Martone. He's a very good rookie for them. They built this team. The Flyers, they're another team like the Ducks. It was inevitable they were going to eventually make the playoffs in the next couple of years because they've done their rebuild. They've acquired, Trevor Zegras over the past couple of years. They acquired the likes of him. I think they also acquired, Jamie Drysdale from the Ducks. Very good team, very young team. This is going to be good for guys like Matev Michkov, Noah Cates, guys who are going to be having their first taste of playoff action. Surprisingly, this is not Dan Vladar's first taste of playoff action. He did play for the Bruins in 2020 when Yaroslav Halak, I think, got injured for a game or whatever. But Pittsburgh is definitely good enough. This was like a feel-good moment for Philly to make the playoffs, but I do not think they're going to go out and really go far. I'll be rooting for the Flyers this series, I can't lie, but I will predict Pittsburgh to win. Weirdly enough, this team just has a lot of depth scoring, and, as long as they have Crosby, Malkin, Letang, as long as the leadership is in the locker room, they will be fine. Moving on to the second round of the playoffs now, Stars Avalanche. Damn, man. Well, I guess this could be a full circle moment, right? It was the Stars that knocked out the Avalanche in the first round of the playoffs last year. Oh, this would be a good one. This would be a really, really good one. I'm going to go with Colorado in 7. Oh, man. I'm not going to lie. When inevitably, when the Bruins get knocked out, I'll be rooting for Dallas the rest of the way afterwards. But I do think Colorado is good enough to win, especially if the series does go to 7. It's going to be in Colorado. I got to give advantage to the home team. This just strikes me as a game or strikes me as a series that both teams play incredibly well. Colorado wins a handful of games in Colorado, and then when they're in Dallas, the Stars win their games. It'll be really close. Ottinger is, in my opinion, a better goalie than, Scott Wedgwood or Mackenzie Blackwood. I feel like Colorado kind of rotates between goalies. But, I just think Colorado's offense is too good to be stopped, basically. And Dallas, they'll have a really good chance at doing so, but I'm just not going to predict them to win it. Man, Ducks and Golden Knights. Am I really going to have the Ducks make the Western Conference Finals? I'm thinking about it. I'm not going to lie. I really don't. I think Vegas is a better team than Anaheim, of course, but I'm really scared about their goaltending, though. Oh, fine. I'll pick Vegas. That series is going to go 7 games, though. So both Western Conference second-round series I have going 7. I think this is one of those things where Vegas goes up 3-2. Anaheim, let's say, wins Game 6 in overtime. They're going to have all the momentum in the world. And then that will be a game where Adin Hill just shuts the door. And Vegas wins the game like a tight 2-1 contest. I'm rooting for you, Anaheim. I really am. But I will go with Vegas out of the West. So Avalanche and Vegas will be the Western Conference Finals. What will be the Eastern Conference Finals? Wow, I'm not going to lie. It's going to be weird seeing the Penguins and the Flyers make the second round of the playoffs, because I'm not going to lie, I think both teams are low-key kind of fraudulent. So we're just going to get that right out of the way and pick Carolina. I'll go Carolina wins in 5, which would mean, if my predictions stay correct, they would go into the Eastern Conference Finals with an 8-2 record. That would be really good. Pittsburgh's offense is fine, but again, Pittsburgh's goaltending with Stuart Skinner and their defense, not really too confident in that. Sabres and Lightning. Oh, am I going to do it? I don't want the Sabres ride to end, you know? Actually, I lied. If by this point they've beaten the Bruins, and I probably would get kind of sick of them. But Tampa Bay is the more experienced team, but Buffalo. If there's one offense in the Eastern Conference that could match Tampa's, it's Buffalo's. With the way how they're playing right now. Oh, man. You know what? I'm going to go on a very loopy, insane prediction. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay winning in 7. Oh, man. I was going with that because I think we're going to see Game 7, go into the third period or overtime in a tie game. And a bottom 6 forward will score for Tampa Bay. I'm looking at a Nick Paul, for example. He's going to bury the game-winning goal. And it's going to be dang, the Sabres run ends because this bottom 6 forward wins Tampa Bay the game. I don't know. But this sets up for a really entertaining Final Four. Avalanche, Golden Knights, and Lightning, Hurricanes. Oh, boy. Now, realistically, if I had Colorado beating Dallas, I would have to have them beating Vegas, right? I feel like I would have to, just because, again, I trust Vegas' offense. It's a great offense, right? Very good offense with Jack Eichel. I don't know what the heck Mitch Marner's going to do, I'll be honest. But they have Jack Eichel still. They have Mark Stone. They have a really good forward core. Defense is solid. Rasmus Anderson and Shea Theodore. Colorado is built. They are built for moments like these, and they are built for deep playoff runs. It won't be easy. I'm going to go Avalanche in 6, but I do have them beating the Golden Knights in the Western Conference Finals. As for Lightning Hurricanes, I think this is going 7. I'm very hesitant, right? I view the Hurricanes like how I view the Buffalo Bills, for example. I'm very until I see with my own 2 eyes that they make a Stanley Cup final, I don't want to pull the trigger on them and predict them, I really don't, because I'm scared. But again, it's a new year. It's a new team. Carolina didn't really buy at the deadline or anything, at least not that I know of. But they have a good team. They have depth scoring. Tampa Bay's defense is really good. But they also haven't been the Tampa team of old that would dominate and run away with the Atlantic Division. They were the second best team in the Atlantic this year. But again, man, if your first two rounds are against Montreal and Buffalo and you escape that, I mean, that's a gauntlet. And then Carolina, that's a gauntlet of a playoff series. That is a gauntlet of a playoff bracket. Man, I'm torn. I definitely think it's going to go 7, but I have to go with Tampa Bay. And ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the Stanley Cup Final that, it's the pretty sexy pick, but let's be honest, if this was the Stanley Cup Final, you would be kind of annoyed unless you are a Lightning or an Avalanche fan because, at this point, it's like, well, okay, like, Tampa Bay, they, I guess, haven't been to the finals in a few years. It's different than the Panthers making it, right? But it feels like we just ended the Panthers' reign of dominance just to go back to the Lightning. I'm not going to lie, even though it hurts me to say as a Bruins fan, if the Sabres do beat the Bruins, like, best of luck to them. I would, even after beating my team, I would still be rooting for them to win the East. But, I don't know, man. My dream Stanley Cup final would be Sabres Stars. If Sabres Stars was the finals this year, I would be pretty happy with that. Or let it be like Sabres Ducks or something. That would be cool. But alas, I'm not going to daydream and fantasize about matchups that I really don't think will be happening. Lightning Avalanche. I'm going to go with Colorado. Wins it in 6. Just like in 2022, the Colorado Avalanche defeat the Tampa Bay Lightning in 6 games in Tampa Bay. Literally, why not? The final score will be 2-1. Deja vu all over again. The Avalanche, they break the President's Trophy curse and they win the Stanley Cup, beating the Lightning in 6 games. Oh my goodness, man. So that's it, right? Nathan MacKinnon, 2-time champ. Landeskog, 2-time champ. Cale Makar, 2-time champ. Well, I mean, Valerie Nichushkin, 2-time champ. Really good team, man. Really good team, bro. Doesn't Parker Kelly have like 20 goals this year? Like, Colorado's goal scoring it's so insane. Like, it's a really well-rounded offense. Really strong defense, obviously, with Makar, and strong goaltending, because, again, they pretty much have a two-man tandem with Scott Wedgwood and Mackenzie Blackwood. So, if one, I think it would be Wedgwood would be the starter for the playoffs, right? He'd have one off game, boom, you could just switch it to Blackwood and go from there. I just think they are the most complete team. They won the President's Trophy for a reason. And I do think that the Avalanche will end the season with their 3rd Stanley Cup victory in franchise history. But let me know what you guys think about the playoffs this year. Give me your Stanley Cup final predictions in the comments. And thank you guys so much for watching and letting me ramble on about hockey for 30 minutes. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.